So, after getting introduced to Displacement Magecraft by Saya, here I am now with otakudaikun, learning it should be more in-depth version of the Ainsworth, their Magecraft. Basically, about everything about them, so a longer video here as well. So it should be more of an explanation. But let's just see what Otaku got for us today. I really do not have much else to say. So let's just see. I can answer some more questions that I may have had with the Ainsworth and whatever was going on in Prisma, especially at this part, because it's like everything, I had to, get used to Bazette, first of all, her. But I kind of got used to her, and then after that, it's like the Ainsworth, they popped up, and I'm like, okay, what is going on here? Displacement, Magecraft, and all. And I kind of, got that, because some people in the comments, they kind of like told me about it, explained it to me. But there were just still some things I'm like, okay, still just a little confused on. So let's just see if we can get those questions answered. Other than that, I hope you guys will enjoy this. Make sure you like, subscribe, and just get this reaction started.
In our previous lesson, I covered the unique witchcraft of Alice Kuonji.
Yep, dedicated just to her.
It's not something you see every day, even when mages are concerned. Following in that vein, I'd like to cover another form of magecraft we might consider exclusive or uncommon. Thus, today's lesson is dedicated to Ainsworth Magecraft, including their use of class cards. The Ainsworth are a family of unaffiliated magi who live in the Fuyuki city of a separate parallel world. By now, hearing of such outrageous concepts should be normal. What we know of Fuyuki in our world does not necessarily apply to others. For the Ainsworths, however, they've been a famous part of their world for over 1,000 years. One would not be off base to consider them their world's equivalent of the Ainsburns. They even create their equivalent of homunculi. In this case, dolls. We'll come back to that, though. Much like the Ainsburns, the Ainsworths had a grandiose aspiration they could only solve with the Holy Grail. In their own way, they sought a means of saving humanity, and worked to develop the Holy Grail alongside two other mage families, one of them being their world's version of the Mottos. This begs the question, what did humanity need to be saved from? Well, even though mana depletion is something almost all worlds struggle with, the Ainsworth family had to contend with a more rapid decline they called degradation. Its effects could be seen through severe weather abnormalities. Japan, for instance, would have snowy summers. This rapid climate change killed off most plant life, killing off the animals that grazed upon them.
So I can see this is a good refresher too.
Earth has developed dry spots where all mana
because I remember this.
Depleted, and in those spots can be found mysterious particles that are poisonous to humans. It is as if said particles are wiping the planet clean for a new age. Within no more than 10 generations, all humans are expected to perish. Science has certainly helped slow this process, but it alone is insufficient. Hoping to avoid this fate, the Ainsworths believe the Holy Grail can be used to make humanity compatible with the particles. If you recall my lesson on Ultimate Ones, this may feel very reminiscent of beings such as A-rays and liners. The Ainsburn family from our world constructed the Greater Grail as a massive spell. It came about from having Ainsburn homunculi merged with a complex spell located inside the Ten no Sakazuki. The Ainsworth family uses these very same caverns, or their version of them anyway, to construct a similar spell. At its core, however, is not a homunculus, but an unfortunate girl from the Sakatsuki, an ancient and gifted family. Sakatsuki children were revered as children of God, possessing divine authority until age 6. Such divinity was so strong that Sakatsuki children could grant wishes, much like the stored mana in a lesser grail. As such, the Ainsworth used these children as the core component of their Holy Grail. As wishmakers from birth, the Sakatsuki could be used to gather mana from a completed grail to wish for the Ainsworth ambition to become reality. Despite this, the first 3 Ainsworth Holy Grail Wars mysteriously ended in failure. During the 4th Holy Grail War, the Ainsworth head, Darius, unleashed a black shadow upon Fuyuki, destroying much of the city and its people. The shadow consumed all members of the Sakatsuki family, except for one child named Miyu. She responded to the people's cries and granted their wishes by quelling the darkness. In the aftermath, Miyu was taken under the care of Kiritsugu Emiya, who also hoped to use her power to save the world. His son Shiro, however, refused to treat Miyu as a tool, allowing her to grow up to the age of 10. In theory, Miyu should have lost her power as a child of God, but with the right ritual, these powers can still be triggered. Thus, the Ainsworth family, continuing under its heir Julian, kidnapped Miyu to use as the Greater Grail for a 5th Holy Grail war. Shiro would not let this slide, and participated in the war to save her.
He's not gonna let that slide.
He successfully defeated all other masters, and used his wish to make Miyu happy. Miyu, in turn, wished to become his real sibling. To avoid the Ainsworths' pursuit, Miyu was sent to another world, but this escape only delayed the inevitable, and allowed the Ainsworths' class card system to function in that other world. Thus, Julian pursues Miyu, hoping to convince her to grant his wish at the cost of her life. It's worth noting that, while the Ainsworth openly declare the Grail Wars an attempt to save humanity from degradation, they have actually been manipulated by their former leader Darius into pursuing a somewhat different goal. In his youth 1,000 years prior, Darius studied alchemy and came upon the discovery of Pandora, a doll of mud birthed by the Greek Olympians to preside over Pandora's box. The box, an ominous black cube, contains despair and misfortune, a manifestation of Earth's failed possibilities. After the box endured long after the Age of Gods came to an end, however, it began to develop possibilities beyond anything human history could fathom. Sadly, during that time, Pandora had lost the ability to open the box herself, and until it opens, she is unable to die. Darius sympathizes with Pandora, who is killed and tormented whenever people discover she isn't human. He wanted to help her be free from immortality, and by opening the box, he believed his dying world would be reborn as a new possibility that not even the Root could oversee. In that endeavor, Darius uses a special form of displacement magecraft. Also known as Flash Air, displacement is a family of spells that transform or otherwise shapeshift matter. Its foundation lies within alchemy and the idea of turning one thing into another. From water into wine, or a spoon into a fork, for instance. Darius's displacement works in a broader sense, allowing him to displace his own soul and survive for thousands of years by appearing within his descendants. We've seen cases like this before, such as Zoken Mato, but it inevitably involves the soul in question degrading over time. Darius stores his soul within Pandora's box itself, and since the world contained within transcends the rules of our world, he has avoided the problem of his soul's corruption. The same magecraft is used to an impressive extent, as Darius changes the shape and size of Pandora's box at will. His original body has long since perished, but whenever necessary, he can take control of his descendants, and currently uses Julian as his host. Pandora also goes by many names, and takes various forms over the years, with her current being a little girl named Erica. This craft extends into the Ainsworth's use of dolls. Like automata, or puppets, dolls are artificial humanoid forms. Using displacement, Darius can transfer other people's souls into these doll bodies as a form of life extension. Many of the current Ainsworth family members are in fact dolls, hosting previous members that have otherwise perished. These dolls are not perfectly crafted, however, and so irregularities emerge from each of them. For example, Angelica lacks the majority of her former emotions. Often, she can only imitate human feelings. Beatrice Flowerchild, on the other hand, can no longer remember her childhood, and is irrationally obsessed with her love for Julian. These mental
a little too
deficiencies
obsessed,
or obsessions
actually.
are quite common for
Jeez.
Ainsworth dolls. Darius himself suffers from a similar imperfection, in that every time he displaces himself, he loses sight of why he wanted to open Pandora's box in the first place.
Hey, now he
It
can't
seems
do
the
that
Ainsworth
now.
goal of saving their dying
He'll lose
world
his
is
goal.
no longer as noble as it once was, justifying Miyu and her friends when they decide to oppose it. Even Julian, who is being manipulated by his elder, doesn't necessarily want to open Pandora's box. While Pandora desperately wishes to die, he wishes for her to find genuine happiness. He refuses to let her die in a state of despair. Julian believes opening Pandora's box will only shower their world in corrupt mud. Pandora couldn't possibly rest assured with the world in that state, so his aim is to both open and destroy the box, letting her finally die with hope for the future. He makes an attempt to obliterate Pandora's box, and it nearly costs him his life, and from his remains, Darius fully reincarnates. The mud that pours from the box doesn't concern Darius. He only wants to witness the birth of a new world from inside of it. Thus, to protect the people of his world, it appears Darius must be defeated. The methods through which Miyu, her allies, and the Ainsworths fight are the class cards. Why bother summoning a heroic spirit when you can become one? This is the fundamental thought process behind class cards, though of course it's never quite that simple. As you know, heroic spirits are manifestations of heroes long deceased. When summoned, they share the same ego they were known for, allowing for masters and servants to feud or otherwise disagree. Class cards allow a master to use a hero's power without having to confront their will. These cards are created by first passing heroic spirits through Pandora's box, suppressing their egos, and storing their abilities within cards that can be invoked in various ways. Most commonly, class cards are used to temporarily manifest a servant's noble phantasm through a command called Include, Limit, Expand. This can be performed by multiple users multiple times through the command Parallel Include. More powerful, however, is Install, Phantom Summon, a command that lets the user install a card directly into their body. This not only gives a master access to a servant's noble phantasm, but also their appearance and skills. In another sense, it is as though the user is being overwritten by the servant they install, merging the two of them into one. Because class cards are physical objects, they can be lost or left on the ground. When unattended, these cards can absorb mana from their surroundings, and with enough, they occasionally manifest the spirit inside in a blackened state. Such servants possess no reason, and only fight on instinct within a mirror world generated around them. This means that civilians are generally safe from blackened servants, and only mages hoping to retrieve the cards have to encounter them. There's an interesting dynamic regarding class cards and their strength. Suppressing a servant's ego is possible, but not inherently ideal. When their weapons and skills are used without consent, they are far weaker than if the servant and master are of like mind. Shiro, for instance, when installing the card for heroic spirit Emiya, is especially powerful. Darius is not a mage who can be defeated so easily, however. With his displacement, he can grasp and remove class cards from people even when they're installed. Having full control of his host, he demonstrates monstrous strength that no other Ainsworth mage could hope to achieve in a single lifetime. Quite uniquely, as a being living for thousands of years, he takes advantage of that history to embellish himself as a legendary figure. Using Miyu's blood, Darius carves his life onto large tablets, chronicling himself with the hope of ascending beyond his human form. In creating his own story, he defies the Akashic records stored within the root, exploring entirely new possibilities to discover unknown heroic spirits. Their noble phantasms are so rare that not even King Gilgamesh is aware of them, when he should otherwise have the prototypes of all legendary weapons. When we consider that divergent worlds are often pruned or reach some form of inevitable destruction, it's hard to say that Darius's plan is ill-conceived. By allowing his own world to drown in mud, he can birth an entirely new history, one that he hopes will exceed the current history. This becomes an issue that surpasses what is considered right or wrong. At the very least, the planet itself is weary, sending a manifestation of Gaia's lingering will in the form of Tanaka, an absent-minded teenager with a resilient body. She most certainly plans to continue opposing Darius by placing her hopes on Ilya, and I can't exactly fault her for that either. Regardless, I find it fascinating how the Ainsworth family's magecraft is built upon harnessing Pandora's power. Darius is quite formidable, with ambition rivaling that of mages striving to reach the root. In summation, Ainsworth Magecraft isn't exactly something the family can call its own. The family legacy began with Darius discovering Pandora and catering his existing displacement spells toward exploiting Pandora's box. He uses the box to preserve his soul as he inhabits the bodies of his descendants. This same displacement is used to create dolls, artificial bodies bound to human souls. Pandora's box also plays a key role in creating class cards, robbing heroic spirits of their will for the sake of their masters. With it, Darius aims to defy the very root itself to create a world never before experienced. This makes me want to reflect on how mages, despite generally sharing the goal of reaching the root and gaining true magic, can differ quite a lot in terms of ambition and circumstance. Thus, for our next lesson, I wish to discuss the motivations of various mages.
Okay,
Perhaps,
motivation.
by doing so, you may be able to affirm or even challenge your own reasons for studying the craft.
Okay, and I guess that is it for the Ainsworth. Okay, so I definitely like that. Yeah, most of that, like a really good refresher, because I'm like, okay, yeah, there are some things that I did forget there, but yeah, that was actually perfect. And then I just looked at the displacement, so yeah, kind of know a lot about that. And then yeah, Saya, he did talk a lot about Pandora, so yeah, that was kind of easy to pick up on too. Yeah, just a lot of crazy stuff going on. Yeah, what was it? Taking Miyu's blood. Yeah, whatever was going on right here, I was like, yeah, I just did not like that. And honestly, actually, I don't even think I knew what was going on at the time when I was reacting. But yeah, here we go. Actually, you know what? This makes sense too, because I didn't really, piece that together, like how he just took the card from her. So yeah, using that displacement. But yeah, this is all like, yeah, when I was literally just looking at it for the first time, yeah, I was just like, whoa, like, huh? You just took her card like that? And then yeah, also, yeah, how you create the class cards. Yeah, Pandora. Yeah, Pandora and their suffering, actually. Yeah, that was crazy when I was really finally understanding all of that. I'm like, yeah, you were very old. I'm like, yeah, you need to be like put to rest or something. And it's like, yeah, you can't just let that mud, just don't, let that just overflow the world, and then, just still make her suffer in a way. Like how Otaku was talking about, like, yeah, this will still mess up the world. It's like you're supposed to be using it to create like a new, better world, right? But yeah, if this mud just completely, consumes the world, I guess you could say, just covers the world and really messes it up even more. It's like, there's nothing good about that. Yeah, in those movies, that actually did really help me piece a lot of things together. I was like, oh, okay, so from the very beginning, Miyu was just from a whole nother world. I was like, yeah, this was crazy. And I like that sometimes. It's weird. I don't like when they just make us think like that, but it's still cool, because it's like, literally this whole time, it's like we think that she was from this world, but it's like, it's so weird. It's like, there's clear signs that she's, just something different. They were showing those signs, indicators, and, once that got revealed, it's like, oh, okay, here we go. And it just, it's like you gotta piece everything together. That's why I say I don't like it, because now you making me go back. But yeah, that's the fun of it, though. As a fan of Fate and other animes, it's like, it's the fun of it, piecing things together, because like, oh, okay, if she was like this, and if there's certain things that were like different about her, it's like, okay, this is why that happened. But yeah, they definitely have like a story here. Like, she's, her and the other children, they're being used as tools, but obviously Shido, being the good guy he is, he's not going to use her as a tool. He's going to use her as like, his own little sister, just someone that he's going to treat her like a human, basically. And then after that, they gain that relationship. And literally make Shido, literally give up the world for Miyu. Like, he cares more about Miyu than the world. And that's just, I don't know. Like, you just got to understand that. And then also, and just, understand the relationship they have for him to even be that way. Because it actually is kind of difficult. Like, what do you choose? Just this one girl or the world, basically? But that should be it for that one. So what do you say the motivation? I have to look and see what he actually, what he means by that. But this was actually perfect too. I didn't even know this was the next one. And like, I knew I was coming up on the Ainsworth Magecraft from Otaku, but I did not know. So watch Saya, then watch Otaku here. So there we go with that. But I think that should be about it. So I hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure you like, subscribe again, and y'all just see you guys in the next one.